Okay, we are going to be going over fight strategies for Ilios today. This is technically the second time we did it. Last time we went really specific about like exact hero picks and everything. This is going to be more broad. That kind of made sense at the time when we had like 6 players, but now we have like 14 to 16, depending on how you want to count it, players. So we're going to need to be a little bit more just like broad of general ideas. So we're going to go through each point. We're going to kind of go kind of rapid fire with it because we have 9 different strategies to talk about and not very much time. So it's going to be kind of quick. So to start with, we're going to talk about first fight on well. Oops. So for well, there is one position that is more important than any other position. Can anybody tell me what that spot is?
High ground on right.
Yes, yes, this high ground. This is like, let me use different color. That is like the holy grail of positioning on Ilios well. You really want to be controlling this. This is #1 priority. You need to get people up here. But of course, we don't want everyone up here. So we are going to want some people to also play over on this left side here. You can, that's a horrible 2. All right, that's better. So you can use this high ground potentially, but you're probably going to have to walk through the white building to actually get angles onto anybody. Playing down main is a third option that you can do, but you don't need to do. Depends on the characters you're playing and if you want to or not. But this is optional. These 2 are mandatory. You need to control the high ground, and you need to have at least somebody go this way. So who you want to go on the high ground here is gonna be a little bit comp dependent, but um, you probably want to have your tank go up there, a support, and your main DPS. That is generally what you're going to want to stack onto this right side high ground. The tank is there to clear it because their enemy team is probably also going to control this high ground. They aren't stupid. They're going to know this is important. They're going to fight for it as well. So your tank is there to make sure that you can push through it. Your support is there, obviously, to keep your tank alive and let him do it. And your main DPS is there because a hit scan on this angle is going to be so powerful. I'm going to clear the drawings here, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So if we set up the hit scan on here, right? Let's say we successfully cleared the angle for the hit scan. He gets all of this to work with. Look at all these angles he gets onto the back line, right? There might be a tracer over here. There might be an Ana over here. He gets everything. He's going to be living the dream. So we really want to get our hit scan or main DPS up to here. And then the flex DPS and probably a support is going to want to play around this left side. That's kind of the simple plan for attacking. And of course, everyone here by now should understand the core idea of angles. You push on an angle when you can, deepen it when you can. If you're getting pressured on your angle, don't just abandon it, keep applying pressure, but maybe don't overcommit if you can't. Pretty simple for first fight. Does anybody have any questions about the first fight strategy for Ilios well? This is meaning that both teams are attacking at the same time because we just got out of the spawn doors. All right. Not hearing any questions, so we'll move on to defending Ilios. Well, so after you have capped this point, when you're now defending it from the attackers, there is now another super key position. Who can tell me what is the best spot for defending Ilios well? Most
Uh,
important spot.
Left high ground right there at the bottom.
Yeah, yeah. This is the #1 spot. You really, really need to control the spot. And here, so I will say, for these comps in general for Ilios, I'm pretty much mostly talking about dive because dive is really strong on Ilios. So most of the stuff that I'm saying is about dive comps. But here, if you're playing a dive tank, you want to be set up right here because it's going to give you a beautiful angle onto the back line when they're going to try and walk out. And it also means that the enemy team can't push this high ground either, which is pretty powerful for them on attack. And so you kind of deny that space. Other spots that are important, I need to actually change my angle because I am too zoomed in. There, that's better. So we got #1 over here, and then we got #2 over here. This is really good to put a hit scan on, because he's going to have good line of sight down main, and he's going to be able to contest this path from afar. You don't want to set him up here, because he'd be too close, but he can contest it from afar, so that way that flank angle cannot be utilized by the enemy team. Other positions that are useful is this high ground can be useful, depending on the character. If you have something like a Venture up here, this is good because while this high ground is very deep and very close, the Venture is able to escape safely, but you wouldn't want to put something like a Cassidy here who can't escape. Another high ground that is good is this one in here. Um, gives you a really deep angle, so something like a Genji or Tracer setting up here is very powerful. The alleyways can also be useful for some characters like Tracer. It's really dealer's choice, to be honest. Other than these two positions that you absolutely need to control, the rest of it is dealer's choice of what you want. So just feel it out on what character and what feels right for you. Um, but be mindful of those other positions. But this spot, really important. Try and put your tank and a support up here. This spot, really important. Try and put a hit scan and probably a support up there as well. So that strategy is fairly simple. Nothing too complicated about that. Any questions though?
Yeah, for
Go for it.
the right high ground, which characters would be able to even get up there? Because I'm not even sure if there's a staircase.
There's not a staircase. You'll be able to do this jump. So Cassidy can actually get up here, which is funny, but you gotta do some parkour for it. But any character with any amount of vertical mobility can get up here really. Emre can really easily, Sojourn can really easily, Cassidy can with parkour. Soldier maybe be able to with a rocket jump actually. I think he
With
could.
yeah, with rocket jump, yeah.
Yeah. Either from there or from like the pot or something. Um pretty
So
much any
characters like Anna would not be able to get up
no.
there.
No, if you're playing Ana, you can't get up here unless you have a Weaver like help you or it may help you.
Or
But no, if you're playing Ana here, you might. Where even would I put an Ana here, to be honest? This is a tricky question of where to put Ana on this map. I would put the Ana back over here to support that high ground from this angle, or back over here to support that high ground from this angle. Because you'll have line of sight to the tank up over here. This is the more aggressive option. So if they're playing dive characters, probably don't go here because you'll die. If they're not playing dive characters, then this is safe. But if they are playing dive, you're probably going to want to play back all the way over here. So that way you're far away, but you can still see this corner to help your tank if he peeks you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and tank is supposed to be on that one ledge over there.
Yeah, tank is going to play up here. He'll fight around here, and then he'll drop back to this corner when he needs healing.
I mean,
Okay.
I will say I have played on the left side, but it's such a long rotation to get there. Basically, you have to go up the steps on the right side and then make the U-turn. No.
Oh,
On
like up
defense.
over here?
Yeah, like you have to make that whole rotation up the step. I
Yeah.
mean, it depends on how the fight goes. If it's
You're so
like,
easy to jump up here, though. It's too dangerous.
yeah,
You don't want to play Ana holding hands with your tank. It's a little bit too close.
yeah.
So, I had something I thought of. Oh, yeah, right. So when we're doing this, right, this position is super key to hold. However, keep in mind that deepening this angle around this way, potentially even all the way over to here, is a viable option depending on the time on the clock. Essentially, if it's like 50% that you have captured, doing that's probably not going to be worth it because I can just walk past you. But if it's like 90%, you can set up here in the spawn room, and then the enemy team is going to have to choose between, well, do I want to get to point and not lose the game? But if I do that, then the Winston's going to kill my backline, or do I want to deal with the Winston so he doesn't kill my backline but then lose the game? Either option is going to lose them the game. So if you are in a position where you are in like a, very close to winning, you can deepen this angle really far in as the tank and maybe as other people as well, just to kind of set like a unwinnable scenario for them where they either choose to give you free access to backline or just not be able to touch. So we're going to talk about attacking. Attacking Ilios is a little bit tricky, but there are ways to alleviate it. So I will ask yet again, what is the most important position to try and control when you're attacking Ilios? This one might be harder than the other two.
The top left.
Top left, that's a fair answer. Why am I red again? This is a good high ground to control. It does give you good angles, but it is not the best.
I tend to think.
It's the
Oops,
second
sorry.
best.
I tend to. Well, you need to pan back a little bit, but like you'll move backwards.
I won't because it's not over there, but you can
Okay,
say what you're
but
gonna
I
say.
was gonna say like kind of in that blue domed area, but like this area. Depends on where they're pushed
Um,
up, though.
yeah, so the most important spot to control when you're attacking Ilios is, again, same thing as first fight. It is this. Now you're probably gonna say, well, wait, what? How am I gonna get there? They're gonna be holding there. And that's the problem. It's hard to get it, but you need to win control of this high ground. It is so critical. So having people push up through this staircase and then try and cross over the gap to get through there, or even go around the full underside, then jump up there. Could be a valid option as well. But you need somebody to come here and contest this high ground. Sometimes they're going to leave it open. Sometimes they push up too far and they leave it open, and you can just take it for free and get a nice angle. Often they'll have a hit scan and a support sector like we talked about. But if you put a tank and a DPS and a support on that angle, you will overrun it and you will win it. Or another option that you can consider is controlling this high ground by not going there, right? Everyone should be familiar with the idea of a soft dive. So we could use the second position. We could rotate around on a deep angle as tank, pressure backline, which could force attention backwards here to deal with us, which will open up our team to push in. So that may be a necessary way of taking this point, the super key high ground here. If we can't take it directly, we take it indirectly. And again, these positions are really important. So we need to have some people fight for this high ground up here, but we can, again, can't have everyone. We need some people to fight for this high ground as well. Because this is a super good position too. It gives you nice angles, and this is good to try and get like an Ana up to, or like a Cassidy up to. Or a flex DPS as well. It depends on what we want. Like ideally, we can get the hit scan up to here, but that might not always be able to happen just because it's going to be hard to take control of it. This is the most complicated strategy, I guess, well, the most difficult strategy of this point specifically, because the most important spot isn't, given to us for free. We have to fight for it. So are there any questions about this attacking well?
I kind of do.
Go for it.
Not sure where exactly I would have to be positioning in this circumstance.
Yeah.
If I don't want to be butt up to the tank, I wouldn't be on that high ground that you were talking about, and I wouldn't be able to get up to that other high ground. Would I want to position myself with that blue domed roof area, or where?
So what I would say is that you would want to support this angle from over here. Probably the other sport would fight for the right side. But if they have like a Kiriko or Lucio, they would go over here. If you're playing Ana, you would want to support this left side. You might be able to stand here eventually, once your team takes enough space, but probably at the start, you're going to work your way up to high ground. You can either use this staircase, if you have space, or you can start even earlier. You can go up this staircase around here, and now you can already see how you can start to support the fight for this high ground. Be wary with this though, because you have no cover here. So if they have an enemy positioned, right, you wouldn't want to go up that staircase right away. You'd probably want to go through here so you have the cover to fight for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so just wrap around to not exactly right next to the tank, but have a line of sight on them while being a little bit further back.
Yeah, so tank's probably actually going to be over here. This is probably where the tank's going to be. You're more so going to be helping the whatever DPS is wanting to go this way. You're going to try and help them from afar, either here or here, with your line of sight. And eventually you could walk this position once your team has like control of space like this. But until then, you're going to have to play a little bit back, but kind of work your way up towards that point. So I think that we are good, unless anyone else has any other questions for Well. I think we're good to move on to
you
the
need
next point.
Yeah, keep moving through the maps because
Alright.
that's 14 minutes on map 1.
Yep. Oh wait, right, it doesn't switch my perspective immediately. Might be too
Oh yeah,
far.
I think. Oh, this was a. Oh, this will be all 3 maps.
Yeah, wait,
There's a
yeah, okay,
scrim
cool.
code.
Wait, why's the door closed? Whatever.
Oh, it's at the very.
Ready for battle.
There we go. All right. This point, I have some actually more interesting advice to give you guys. That one was pretty basic. This is where I get into more fancy stuff. So first fight strategies. This is like there's so much stuff you can do at this point. I actually love Ilios Lighthouse. So most key position. So we're attacking from this side, right? Where do we want to hold the most? Like, what is our ideal spot to control?
High ground.
Which one?
Oh, bottom blue. Yeah.
I would even say there isn't one perfect answer. You can either do that or lighthouse, or that and lighthouse, or just lighthouse.
This is number 2.
Yeah,
What's number 1? We can't always do it, but if we can, we want to control it.
the top of lighthouse.
That's number 3, maybe.
Okay. Are you gonna say that's that, but on the other side?
Their high ground.
If you
We
can,
can, we
yeah.
want their high ground.
If you
And the
can,
thing is, very often you can. Very often you can. If the whole enemy team goes up here, you can't take it, of course. But we can still play to win it a different way. So the ultimate goal of first fight, Ilios Lighthouse, is to win this high ground. That is the ultimate goal. We need to win control of that high ground, so that way we get this incredible pincer. It's so powerful. We need to control that. It's just going to be hard to get there. So there's a few different ways. If the enemy team just doesn't put a lot of people up here, if it's like, say, like a tracer and like an Ana up here, that's a weird position. It'd be like a Cassidy and Ana instead of a tracer and Ana. Like a Cassidy and Ana up here. That's not very strong. If we're on Doomfist, we can jump over here with the help of like a Kiriko who's going to TP into us, and we can just fight them to win. If it's like a Roadhog and like a Reaper and like a Cassidy and like an Ana, okay, we aren't going to be able to win that directly. So we can do it indirectly. And how we would do that would be, everyone, first and foremost, is, maybe not everyone, but almost everyone, is going to follow this path to here at the start of the fight. Maybe if you have a Tracer or something, you might go through here. Depends. But not necessarily. So everyone's going to start by probably going up to this high ground because we don't want them to take it from us as well. That's an important part of this. Then from here, though, we want to have the options to be able to push where we want. So in scenario 1, where it's just a Cassidy and the Ana, then our tank and our Kiriko might jump from over here. It might not be a Kiriko, it might be Lucio, but our tank and a support would jump from over there. Potentially Ana shoots from afar. If they are stacked very heavily on here, which is going to be the harder scenario to deal with. If they fight very soundly for control of this high ground, we need to play a couple different positions. We need to have long range pressure from here. So we need to have our hit scan and maybe a long range support like an Ana pressuring from over here. We also need some people to pressure from over here. This is probably where the tank is going to go. The tank can do a big old wraparound around the backside lighthouse. Don't go in front because you take too much damage. Go around the outside and then set up over here. That might feel slow, and that is fine because it doesn't matter. The point's not going to open up for a few seconds anyways, and if we are controlling the top of the lighthouse, if the enemy team's going to go to the point, they're going to give up our high ground. We're going to get our pincer. We're going to get what we want. That's fine. Don't worry about being slow here. Take as much time as you need. So we're going to wrap around. We're going to set up here. This is going to give us the angle to jump onto this lighthouse later. So now we're playing on 2 different angles. This is already going to apply quite meaningful pressure, and it's very likely that the enemy team is going to drop and try and walk forward here or to the point. And then, of course, simple, tank takes the high ground. Good. Another option that we have here is once we see the enemy team is stacked heavily on this high ground, we could have somebody like a Tracer or a Venture or a Genji go through here on this left angle to pressure this high ground. They might have to jump right on them. They might jump over to here. They might just poke from below. Whatever they're capable of doing, it can be useful to have pressure over here. Because once there's a lot of pressure applied to that high ground, the enemy team is going to be forced to leave it. At least for some people to leave it, because otherwise they're going to die or they're just going to lose other space. So they're going to leave the high ground, which is going to open it up again for our tank to get to. Everything we're doing is about getting our tank to that high ground. But of course, getting our tank to that high ground doesn't win the fight instantly. Once we have, I'm going to clear all these drawings here. Once we have tank up here and some pressure up here, and the enemy team might hang out around here. They might have control of the point for a little bit, and that's fine. Once we're here, our goal ultimately is to force the enemy team to box themselves into this kind of space. We want to box them in here because they have no angles. We have every single angle we could ever want. Right? We can even go deeper all the way around. All the angles exist for us. I mean, like an octopus there, that was funny. We have all the angles, they have none. the enemy team's probably going to do that because they want to control the points. So they're going to box themselves in, they're going to lose. From here, we can't just jump straight in though, because that's probably going to lose us the fight anyways. We need to slowly, with good engagement timing, pressure both of our angles at the same time. So our tank's probably going to have to walk in and pressure from here. Our DPS and supports might walk in. They might stand their high ground and shoot through the windows. Either one's fine. We just have to make sure our pressure is timed at the correct moment. You guys have been pretty good about getting to this step first of taking control of the high grounds, boxing any team in, but we have not been good about punishing them for the mistake because we have one person go in too soon or one person go in too late. So then we're having poor engagement timing where our team is mismatching our pressure, and so the enemy team is able to just easily pick off the one who's being overly aggressive, and then they just win the fight. We don't want that to happen. We want to be applying our pressure at the same time, so we benefit from having control of every single angle on the map, and then box themselves on the point and just destroying them for it. Also, this window exists. Just keep that in mind if you're playing like Pharah or like Junkrat. You can just like go up here and shoot them, and it's pretty good. That was a lot. Any questions about attacking, or sorry, first fight on Lighthouse?
I know it's not a common occurrence, but I have seen it where we're attacking the enemy high ground, but then they're attacking our enemy high ground, and we just get into flip-flopped. So what would you recommend in that kind of situation?
If you're both, so the situation is we jump their high ground,
Yes.
and then they jump our high ground.
Yes.
If they're doing that, and it's even, it is going to come down to, this sounds really silly, but just be better than them,
Yeah.
right? They're going to fight us on our high ground, we're going to fight them on their high ground. It's going to come down to who is going to win that fight. It's even, it's 50-50, so making sure that we're stacking heavily on the high ground is important. A lot of teams do not stack heavily enough here. They put too much resources in other locations, and so they make the high ground vulnerable. So most likely, if we have a lot of resources on our high ground, that's the wrong color. If we have a lot of resources on our high ground, and they only have a little bit of resources in their high ground, our team diving them should be able to win that. And their team diving us should not be able to win that. So in theory, we will probably win it most of the time anyways. But if they are also using our same strategy, and they're all stacking on the high ground and jumping us, it's just 50-50. It's just who's the better team. Any other questions?
It may be just me not really seeing the depth in this, but how are you supposed to go around the back side of the lighthouse?
Yeah, you just walk around here.
Oh,
And also, once you are here, I will say, you have the option of either jumping straight to here or to here. Both have really good value. If you're Doomfist and you jump here, I mean, that could be a nice punch angle to get them off the high ground. If you're jumping here, that could be a nice angle to punch them into the wall to just kill them. Both have valid merit to them. Just keep that in mind, Jude, because you're probably going to be playing tank here. And I mean, Alessandra, if you're playing a hazard here as well, like this is actually really great to jump here, place the wall here, fight them off in this little room. That can be very nice as well. I think we're going to move on to defending strategies. Defense strategies here, this is my baby. This is my beautiful perfect strategy. I love this one. So I was trying to communicate this to you guys in the middle of a scrim, which wasn't right because it's too complicated to explain in the middle of a scrim. But what most teams will do is they'll put the tank up here. They'll put a support back over here. You can't really see it. They'll put somebody up here, maybe somebody down here, and they just kind of fight spread out. And they plan to take the fight like here-ish. That's not what I want you guys to do. I don't want that to happen. Whoa, it's a lot of drawings. Clear. What I want you guys to do is take the fight more so. Let me change my angle here so it's a little better. We're going to take the fight somewhere. It's not drawing. Somewhere in this vicinity. It's a huge box because they have different options where they can push, but it's going to happen somewhere in this vicinity, closer up. And how we are going to accomplish that is by making the very weird play, and the play that nobody ever expects, of putting our tank here. It looks crazy. You're going to think, what? That tank is so deep, he's just going to die. But he's not. If you're playing Hazard, you can't do this. I will say that. I'm sorry. If you're playing Hazard, you actually will die. You're too slow.
Ooh.
But if you're playing Doomfist, if you're playing Winston, if you're playing Ball, if you're maybe Diva, I probably won't do this with Diva either. But if you're playing those other characters, you can set up the tank right here. And I'll show you why. So if we go here, if you're standing here as tank, the enemy team's coming out that spawn door, you go here. They can't see you. The enemy team pushes out over here, you go here. They can't see you. You have the cover that you can hide anywhere. If they jump up to you and they pressure you, that is going to cost them movement ability to do that. And if it's like, say you're up here as like a Doomfist and they have the Pharah and the Reaper come up here, you can't win that fight. You need to run. So you run. Fine. You fall back. We set up normally. That's okay. They expended resources to remove us from there. We expended resources to retreat, but we're even. It didn't really cost us anything. But if they don't push you out, which most of the time they won't actually, most of the time they just kind of walk past you. Sometimes they can't even contest you. If they're playing like Zarya, Tracer, Lucio, Cassidy, Ana, nobody can get up to this high ground. They don't have enough vertical mobility. So you can just live up here for free. And then we can do some really fun stuff. Some really, really fun stuff. So it's all going to depend on where the enemy team pushes. But essentially, our tank is going to wait for them to enter this kill box. So that's why I talked about the idea of a kill box. And that is really useful to understand here, is that when the enemy team kind of enters our kill box here, our tank still doesn't need to push in. But I should also establish other people's positioning. So we need to have a DPS up here, probably a support over here, and potentially somebody else playing around here. They could be playing on this sort of like fence bit. You can't really see it, but they could be playing on this fence bit over here. They could be playing on this high ground over here. They could be playing low ground down here. This is a useful spot. You don't need this per se. Just this angle and this angle is good enough. But having this extra angle, if you have like a Pharah Mercy playing around here, is actually very, very nice. But essentially, I should not have room in that yellow box, unfortunate. Once the enemy team is in our kill box here, our tank from this high ground is going to need to start to applying pressure. He should not jump in unless he has a golden opportunity, though. He should walk. Use your feet and engage. This high ground gives you the angle to just be able to walk in for free. If you're Doomfist, you have 2 cooldowns. So to be fair, Doomfist could engage with one, disengage with the other, but you need to keep a cooldown free to get back out, because you will get pressured out, almost certainly. Or you can actually jump back to here. That works as well. So our tank needs to engage, and as is happening, the rest of our team needs to engage as well from our other positions at the same time. It is going to have to be quick from the rest of our team to follow up on it, because the tank is going to be pretty exposed. He's going to get bursted down fairly fast, but he's just going to have a very powerful angle before he gets bursted down. And so what that kind of would look like is, let's say, the enemy team decides that they're going to walk through main. It's probably the most common approach. Once the enemy backline has gotten to this point-ish, our tank would walk down on them. Our DPS up here would shoot from above with help from our supports for our tank and our DPS here. And then they're probably going to turn and get a lot of attention to the tank, which is going to open up a lot of pressure from our DPS onto them. Hopefully we will get a pick, and the tank should be able to live. That is really critical here as tank, is to not overcommit and die. You're going to get forced out fairly quick, and just understand that's going to happen, and accept it, and run away wherever you need to. If you can jump back to here, good. If you have to jump back to here, also good. This strategy is the weird one that people aren't familiar with compared to anything else. So are there any questions about this?
This was mainly just for Monkey in mind, right?
Monkey, Ball, or Doomfist. Any of those tanks.
I do have a
And
question.
I will also say this plan seems like it doesn't allow for many healing opportunities for the tank. Like the tank
There
needs
is.
to like, yeah, you're gonna have to play some pretty tight cover though.
It works fine. So long as, if you have like a Kiriko set up over here,
Yeah.
you just throw papers. If you have an Ana set up over here, she can just throw nades. potentially even setting up a Kiriko up here could work as well for that angle. This is a little bit weird because you can force it
Yeah.
out, but like honestly, I don't hate it for Kiriko
I
up
have
here.
was gonna-
I have never played up there.
I didn't even know you could play up there. Is that like a
So
stupid spot you could throw a tank at? Just for like
I,
when if they push upstairs?
I like this stupid stop to throw a tank at, but I mean, you could do this as well. This is
Just for
good.
the fuck of it, right?
This is
I
good.
don't
Yeah,
know.
Far Mercy setting up here as well is pretty dang powerful.
I didn't even know you
First
could
map
sit up
setting
there.
up,
I'm
Far
just so
Mercy
real.
setting up over here and over here. Yeah, super underutilized spots. This map has a lot of underutilized spots. If you want to know another underutilized spot, but also useless, you can play over here. You can stand on this high ground. You will
Wow,
never
that's
find a use
crazy.
for that, but you can do it. All right. I got off topic. Any other questions about this? I know this one's
No.
weird.
No, we need to keep moving along.
We'll move on to attacking. My strategy for attacking is a little bit weird, but nothing crazy. The attacking strategy is essentially dive tank forces point. Rest of team fights for high ground. That's a horrible arrow. Team fights for high ground. And probably someone goes here. Probably a three-pronged approach. This high ground and forcing point is the most important thing. So tank forcing point, we're going to talk about how that's going to work because that's the most important part of this plan. The tank's job is going to be to go from around here and either walk through this building or go around the whole map. Either one can work, depends on what feels better to you. Wrap around here. If the point is unattended, you can go onto the point and walk through around this way to bait attention because touching the point is going to show the team, oh no, the point! And they're going to peel for it. But sometimes they might have somebody here. Like they might have a Cassidy standing right here, and you don't want to go in the Cassidy's face. So if that's happening, you're going to either go around this way or around this way, onto the high ground or the low ground, depending on what your character is capable of doing, and bait attention that way. And then you're going to wrap around, pressure from here, and get to this room. You're going to get to this high ground, and you're going to hold this again. Just like the first fight attacking strategy. The goal is to control this high ground again for this incredible pincer. It's just got to do it a little bit differently because it's harder because we have a space disadvantage. So by the tank going over here and bidding attention, it's going to pull resources from this high ground. I'm going to change my arrow color. It's going to pull resources from this high ground back to deal with the point, which is going to allow our team that is pushing the high ground to win control of it. So we can have some of our DPS and support standing up here. So now once our tank gets around over to here, well, we have our pincer. We have them boxed into here. We have flipped the space advantage, and now we have it. It is not crazy complicated. It's just that there's a bit of nuance to how the tank is going to force the point. Again, if there's a Cassie set up right here, it's going to be harder. And they'll probably make that adjustment if they see you do this multiple times. So be mindful of that we are going to have to kind of play a little bit slower. Go to the high ground, wrap around slowly, maybe just drop down here. I keep saying forcing point. You're not always going to actually force point. Sometimes you might take the action of touching point to force it, but mostly you're just taking the soft dive in general of just pulling them back towards the direction of point to then wrap around to this high ground. Are there any questions about the attacking strategy for Lighthouse, or can we move on to Ruins? All right, let's go to Ruins. I'll try to skip ahead here. Okay, Ruins. All right, first fight, Ruins sucks. I hate it. It's garbage, but you gotta play it anyways. So for first fight Ruins, this is, how am I gonna get a good angle to draw here? I guess I just go really, really tall. No, because I gotta show it this way. So for Ruins, we're gonna play a two-prong approach. Some people go around this way by the health pack. Some people go around this way through this alley. Both angles are important. And on this right side angle, if we are a lot faster than them, we can get to this high ground and take it. You aren't always going to get that. If they're running dive as well, they're going to kind of meet you in the middle here by the health pack, and you're not going to be able to reach there. But if they're playing something like poke or brawl, try and race to that high ground if you can. If we can get a tank stationed up here with the support, huge, huge. It's just going to be hard. But we're probably going to fight around this point here by this mega health pack, and they're going to meet us there. This angle is where things are really important, is that we need to have a flex DPS, or potentially even a hit scan, but they're not going to have their flex. So I would probably say send the flex here, ideally like a tracer or a venture, to push through here and fight for this space along with a support. Because ideally, if we win the fight on this angle and we get our flex DPS here, they are going to have a powerful angle to dive the people that are fighting our tank over by the health pack, and we should be able to win that fight with that pincer. The rest of the team, other than the tank and the flex DPS, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see what your guys' position is going to look like. So this high ground up here, super useful to use. Gives you a nice angle, gives you great cover, gives you great safety, and you can get up here if anybody. If you're staying up here, doing the jump onto this rock, jump up to here, you can get there with a parkour. You might be able to do it over here too, actually. I'm not sure. But so somebody like a Cassidy can still get up here and apply pressure. Ana, I think, can too. The rocks are a little bit different. I believe that on one side of the map you can do that parkour, on one side of the map you can't. I will have to check which side it is, but I believe that this high ground can still be used by Ana. That can be useful. If not, just playing down here is still fine, just to kind of shoot that angle. But we want to get somebody up here, someone long range up here, a support or a DPS or whatever. Then have the tank fighting over here, probably with some help on this angle as well. Having our flex DPS wrap around here. Win this duel on this angle. They probably will send their flex DPS here as well. Try and win the duel. Try and fight for this. Get the pincer, dive, hopefully win. And again, if possible, if they're slow, get our tank up to this high ground. Beautiful angle. Beautiful angle. Any questions for first fight? First fight's annoying and it sucks. Alright, no questions. We're going to move on to defending. Defending is fun. Defending here is going to be similar to the other point where we're going to try and set up our tank on a deep angle. This one's a little bit safer and a little bit nicer. We're going to set up our tank on this high ground up here. Sometimes another support will set up with him, but honestly, you don't really need it because another support can just set up over here and provide healing to him that way. Tank's going to set up here. Most of the team's going to set up on this high ground as well, actually. We want somebody else on the team to either play here or here. What is the reason for that?
Covers like the rock so nobody can just jump up or go to point. Or
You're pretty good with that going to point, yeah. So we don't want them to be able to just run past us. If we're setting up like this and their team is super fast, they could in theory just run straight through us and just kind of flip the map on us, which isn't what we want. So we need somebody to be a blockade and either defend from here or defend from here. If you have something like a Reaper or Venture, those are super good like kind of blockadey DPS. So that way the enemy team is going to have a problem to deal with in front of them and a problem behind them and a problem to the side of them. They have a lot of problems to deal with. So nowhere's safe for them. They're always in danger. And essentially that plan would be, fairly simply, tank is going to set up here. He's going to hold this with the support from his team over there. When the enemy team walks either under, around, or around this way, doesn't matter, the tank is going to use his incredible angle and high ground to just walk onto the team or engage with just one cooldown. If you're Doomfist and you have two, walk onto the team wherever they may be, fight them for as long as you can, while the rest of your team applies pressure, either through main, or through this high ground here, or through this high ground here, or through crossing over to join you up here if they're pushing through this alley, while the rest of your team applies pressure from the front until you get forced out. You go back to the high ground, and then you hopefully have a nice advantage. Maybe you get a pick in that time. If not, you just wait and you do it again. It is not super complicated, but it's just a little bit unorthodox. People aren't used to putting the tank up here. It feels kind of open, and it is, but the thing is that they don't have any way to actually pressure you unless they go up here, and guess what? If they go up here, they're going to take a lot of pressure from your teammates on this lower high ground. So they can't really contest you up here safely. It's going to cost them quite a bit. Does that make sense? All right, and I will say one more thing. The person whose job is to blockade, so you're either going to stand here and use this corner and just kind of be here to shoot them in the face as they try to walk through, but then once the tank drops in, you're going to try and walk in with him. Or if you're playing over here, same thing. Shoot them in the face as they come out. If the tank engages, either walk in through this angle or walk in through the straight path. Either one can work. It's just important to have a blockade there. So we'll move on to attacking. Attacking runes can also be kind of sucky, but it's not as bad as first fight at least, because we are going to be able to use this high ground. This is a nice high ground to control. This high ground can be an avenue to get to here, but it's not super important to us. Of course, if the enemy team is holding this high ground, we are going to want to clear them from it, but it can be hard. But this high ground is important. And how we're going to get this high ground is we're probably going to send the tank up here to clear it for our DPS and support to be able to follow up and join here. At the same time, we need pressure on this angle as well. And that angle can probably be deepened over here to fight the back line over there. Let's see. The main angle here isn't particularly great, but it's not useless either. You can put pressure down main, but controlling this high ground and controlling this cliffside alleyway is super important. Once we win this high ground, we're going to try and have our DPS and supports apply pressure and help from here. Keep in mind the other tank is going to be, use my arrow, the enemy tank is going to be lingering somewhere around here, and they're probably going to do bad things to our team up here. So just be mindful of that there is risk to deal with. So if you're up here as, you know, say Emre, and they're playing Hazard, you're probably going to get jumped, so be ready to play your life and run away, and the rest of the team be ready to peel for your Emre if it is needed. But then the tank going to go from here. That's our tank. Our tank is going to go from here, and he is going to try and deepen the angle onto something somewhere around here, and hopefully join at the same timing as our flex DPS has gotten here, so we can try and dive a target together. There's generally going to be backline somewhere in this area that we can fight. Fairly simple strategy for attacking the point. I don't have anything too crazy to tell you guys for that. Any questions about this?
So you didn't mention the high ground on the left side there at all. In
Bad.
either direction.
This one up here, it's pretty
Yeah.
bad. The defenders can use it though, to be fair, but for the attacking team, it's so open. If there's a Widow up here, maybe force her out, but like, it's just so open and doesn't give you any angles this position doesn't provide you with. This position just has so much more cover. So I would not utilize this high ground. All right, I think that we are good to wrap up then. So if we could end the recording.